everybody, Happy New Year! Welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you are new here, my name is Jaclyn. I post a lot of vlogs and I post a lot of sewing and DIY, fashion and beauty content on this channel. Today I'm going to be talking to you about my 2023 goals, specifically crafting and content creation goals. Now, if you've been here for a while, you know I make this list every year. Sometimes I've shared it on my YouTube channel. I think I did last year, or maybe the year before, I can't remember. But typically it's a really long list. This year's is already up to 40 items or something crazy like that. I just want to say, I do not put any pressure on myself to make sure that I achieve every single thing on this list. It's not about that. A lot of it is things I'm already doing, such as drinking more water every day, going on my walks 5 days a week. A lot of it is just a continuation of habits that I'm already doing just to keep them top of mind. Sometimes they are more specific, like some of the things I will share with you on this list, but a lot of times it's just if I don't know what to make or if I'm stuck on what to do, then I can refer to this list and have an idea of something that I would like to try or just different habits that I want to enhance throughout the year. Now, seeing as my list for this year is already quite long, I have decided that this year I'm just going to share my crafting and content creation goals specifically with you just to save on time. There's a lot, like I said, on that bigger list, and I think that the crafting and content creation goals will be more interesting to people who watch this channel. So let's jump right in. All right, so I typically bucket my list of goals into larger buckets and themes, and then have more specific things underneath that larger theme about how I could get to that goal. So the larger overarching goal for my crafting is to enhance my handmade wardrobe, of course. And then the tasks underneath it are as follows. All right, here we go. So the first one, prioritize craft and fit, but make sure to balance that with having fun. I think in the past 2 years or so, if you've been following me for any length of time, you can see that I'm taking a lot more time with the craft and fit of my garments, whereas before I was just churning stuff out a lot faster. That's not to say that that time was not valuable to me. It most certainly was, and I was in a much different living situation where I couldn't have my sewing machine out full time, for example. When I first moved to New York, it lived in a corner. I didn't have a place to put it. Now I have this amazing whole room, which I am so lucky to have. But when I had to have my sewing machine in a corner in a box, it just left me feeling this pressure to finish it in a day, finish it in a weekend, because I couldn't leave it out full time with roommates. But now that I have this crafting space, I did in my old apartment as well, you can see the evolution of my crafting gearing more toward craft and fit. And I want to continue that theme for sure in this year, but I want to balance that with having fun. Sometimes I get myself into these moods where it's oh, it's not perfect, it doesn't look, exactly the way I wanted it to. And sometimes it's a little bit overkill and can take the joy out of it. So I do want to prioritize the fit and craft of things for sure, but try to recognize when I'm being a little too hard on myself. It's the whole if you can't see it from a moving horse, or if nobody else in the day-to-day is going to notice it, it's not necessarily worth redoing, unless it's for my own personal enjoyment, of course. So that's the first one. The next one, take steps to learn more about pattern drafting, and then maybe make my own slopers as a way to achieve that. If you know me, I'm very comfortable with pattern hacking. I am very fine with mishmashing 3 different patterns together. I love pattern hacking, but I wish I knew more about pattern drafting, if I'm honest, so that I could just free myself from the pattern entirely. I'm sad to report, although happy that I have it, to say that I got this book for Christmas, not this previous Christmas, but the Christmas before. So 2 Christmases ago. It's Pattern Making for Fashion Design by Helen Joseph Armstrong. My good friend Emily recommended this book to me as a great way to learn more about pattern drafting, and I definitely want to use that to get more serious about learning more about pattern drafting this year. Again, I think a way that I could do that would be by making my own slopers. There are 3 different types of slopers you can make, from my understanding: a bodice, a skirt sloper, and a trouser sloper. So you just kind of take your measurements to make those basic blocks so that you can then riff off of and change those slopers to suit different styles and aesthetics that you might want to achieve. So I think drafting, you know, one or a couple of these slopers might be a good way to get into pattern drafting, to learn more about it. I do self-draft a few things, like I know how to self-draft the half circle skirt, for example, which there's a video tutorial on my channel about how I do that. But yeah, I just want to get more serious about pattern drafting so I can free myself from the patterns altogether. Next up, I love sewing luxury inspired clothing. So luxury fashion really inspires a lot of my projects. It doesn't have to be a luxury brand, but I do love like YSL and Dior especially. But I also love brands like Cezanne, Banana Republic, what are some other ones? Doan. I'm sure there's more that's just not coming to mind off the top of my head. But I just love making clothing that is inspired by luxury fashion, and it's just a really fun way to see something on the runway and then sew it for myself in real life, you know, and making these small tweaks to make it perfect, exactly what I want, changing up the prints on the fabrics or the color, you know, what have you. I just love using luxury fashion as a way to inspire my own projects, and I do a little bit of that. I've dabbled a little bit with that in 2022, but I'd like to do more of that or make it more of an emphasis in 2023 because I end up wearing a lot of those pieces a lot, and I just think it's fun to make like hacks of luxury fashion. Next one, specific, sew a bathing suit. I've had the Friday pattern company Vernaza, I think it's called, Vernaza, two-piece swimsuit cutout, but I cut it out at the end of the summer. So by that time I was like, well, this isn't going to be useful to me anymore. Why would I make this? But I would love to sew a bathing suit or two this year, especially because I'm going to 2 warm weather destinations that I know of for vacations this year. So I would love to have some handmade swimsuits to take with me. Speaking of luxury inspired fashion, there's this really basic Chanel bathing suit that I love. It's like a black bathing suit with white trim on it. I would love to make a dupe of that. I have the Vernaza two-piece like I mentioned, and I have like quite a few swimwear fabrics in my stash. I want to say like 3 or 4, so I'd love to finally use those up and put them to good use. Plus, my absolute favorite bathing suit, this just like goes to show how much I just wear my things to death, but my favorite bathing suit I've had for over 10 years. Yes, the stitching is coming apart, the elastic is starting to wear a little bit, but it's my favorite bathing suit. It's a gorgeous DKNY black bathing suit, one piece with a super plunge. I absolutely love it. I've already purchased some patterns to try to make another one or recreate it because I knew it was dying on me. So that is what I definitely want to try to make this year. If you have any tips for sewing bathing suits or recommendations for patterns, I would love to hear from you in the comments. Edgewater Avenue has so many great bathing suit patterns, so I already know about that one, but if you have other pattern recommendations or places to look to, people who sew a lot of swimwear, I would love to hear from you about that. Next one, continue planning and making toward seasonal collections. So oftentimes I'll be sewing on a project, super inspired, having so much fun, and then I finish it and I'm like, well, now what? What do I make next? It's like I was putting all of that energy into that project that I really just like feel a little depleted and just don't know what to make next. Like my inspiration has kind of run out. And a way that I've combated this is by making or planning seasonal collections. So I posted my autumn winter sewing plans video a couple months ago. In the past, I've just like written it down and did some sketches with like pattern ideas of the kinds of garments I would like to make. This is really, really helpful for me in particular because when I get stuck, it can take me days and days before I know what to make next. But with the like planned out collections of sorts for season, I can just look at this list and refer to it and know like, oh yeah, I have this hole in my wardrobe. This is what I should make next. So planning seasonal collections has been a real game changer for my making. And if you find yourself in those same traps where you like finish something and don't know what to do next, try planning out seasonal collections. I think it could be a big help for you. At least it has been for me. Next one, sew a few special pieces for aforementioned upcoming warm weather trips. I'm going to be going to Vietnam on my honeymoon in February. I'm so excited. I cannot wait. If you don't know or are new here, I got married last September. We delayed our honeymoon until February, and so we're going to Vietnam. Can't wait for that. And I would love to sew a few special pieces for that trip, but also just some things that I know I'm gonna need. Like I really need pants and trousers in my wardrobe right now, and it's not that I want to sew long things, but I also need shorts to that end. So I would like to make a pair of shorts, definitely a few pretty dresses. I need to look and see what kind of white fabrics I have left over, because it would be nice to make some honeymoon specific pieces in white. That would be really beautiful. And then I'm also going to Mexico in April on a girls trip, so I would love to sew a few special pieces for that trip as well. The next one, this one's also very specific, sew square neck knit tanks. Again, if you've been here for a while, you know I love square neck necklines. Like this right here essentially is a square neck neckline. It's my favorite neckline. I just think it looks so flattering and pretty. I just love how it kind of shows off the top of your chest. It's just my favorite neckline. I think it really suits me. Luckily for me, I feel like it's kind of getting a little more popular, so you're able to find it more to purchase now, but I still don't have like any kind of just knits meaning stretchy, not sweater, but like stretchy tank tops that have a square neckline. So that's something I really want to make. I follow this YouTube channel called Pattern Scout. If you're not already following her and you like to sew, you might check her out and give her a follow. I really enjoy her videos. They're really clear and inspiring. She just has a lot of really good content on her channel, especially to empower you for self-drafting things. It's a good one, but she sewed a square neck tank that I really loved, and this really cute pleated dress in the same video. Actually, I'll link that in the description box for you. But that pleated dress would be an amazing Vietnam and Mexico wardrobe item to make. So yeah, that and then the square neck tanks, those are two things I really want to make. And then the next one, I really want to learn how to make handbags, especially leather handbags. If you've been here for a bit, you know that I made or started making in the Brooklyn Knit Folk days a weekender bag, and I still have that project, but I've already learned so much more about how to work with leather since making that project that I'm confident that if I took it apart and redid it, it could be a lot better than it is now, hence the reason I haven't finished it yet. But that project aside, I would really love to learn how to make handbags this year. Something that looks like the Chanel Classic Flap, or maybe something that looks like the Hermes Kelly. It could be a fabric bag, it could be a leather bag. I just kind of want to learn how to make handbags. I know that working with leather is very different techniques than working with a fabric would be, and I don't know if there's really much out there in the way in terms of handbag patterns. Again, I know I'm trying to self-draft and I should free myself from the pattern, but it's nice to make patterns to familiarize yourself with the processes of making a certain type of garment. So if you have any suggestions, especially if it's kits, I know there's this one called Bags and Pieces based out of Germany. I've come very close to purchasing that kit. I think it looks really cool. That's for a leather handbag in particular. But if you know of any pattern designers that do a lot of emphasis or focus on handbags, or people who sew on Instagram who post a lot of bag making inspiration, I would love to hear from you in the comments. Please let me know, because sewing handbags I think is my next foray of something I would really love to get into, especially leather handbags. And I don't mean tote bags, I just want to be specific. I know how to make a tote bag, so I'm looking for something more specific, like a handbag that would have a flap, has clasps, has hardware, that sort of thing. So if you know of anybody, please leave me a comment below. I would love to hear from you. And then the last one in the crafting goals is to kind of reorganize and clean up my craft room, especially my fabric stash, purge what I'm no longer using, go through cabinets, get rid of stuff that I'm not using. I am so lucky to have this crafting space, and I am very good about cleaning up in between projects. You can see this is very tidy. It's pretty much like that in the whole room. But, I've been in this space for a little over 2 years now, and stuff just starts to accumulate, So I just want to do a big culling of my fabrics, especially scraps and remnants. I'm really bad about holding on to those, even though I'm not going to do anything with these half-yard remnants. I'm a clothing sewer, most of the time, so I just don't have any use for scraps that are small like that. But every time that I've left a bag of scraps out in front of the house on the sidewalk for other people, labeled as scraps, I'm not trying to pass it off as huge, swaths of fabric. It's gone within an hour or two. So there are other people who will use it. I would love to do big culling of the fabric scraps, and then also too of some of the yarn that I know I'm never going to use. I have a lot of knitting supplies. I still enjoy knitting. I don't knit nearly as much as I used to, and I don't knit nearly as much as I sew, but I have a beautiful yarn stash. I'm going to keep most of it, but I should just kind of go through it and make sure that there's nothing that I don't want to either destash somewhere or give away. We'll see how that goes. So yeah, I just really want to go through my crafting space, streamline it, go through everything and make sure there's nothing I don't want to get rid of, find good storage solutions for things that need storage. My patterns in particular, I've outgrown the space that I have for my patterns. It's just like a wire basket filled with patterns. I have a wonderful way that I store my PDF patterns. I love that storage, but that doesn't really work for my big 4 patterns that are in the packets. And I've outgrown the space that I've allotted for that, so I need to find new storage solutions for my patterns, my big 4 patterns. If you have any suggestions for that, let me know. I was thinking something like comic book boxes. I have a lot of vertical space, not a lot of depth or width space. It's a lot of vertical. So I was thinking comic book boxes where I could separate them by garment type and then label it on the outside, because usually when I'm going to sew something, it's like, okay, I know I want a dress pattern. Let me look through all of my dresses. That's usually how I sew. So I was thinking the comic book boxes, but if you have another idea, would love to hear from you. But yeah, reorganizing my craft room, that is the next item on the agenda. That's it for everything that's on my enhancing my handmade wardrobe goal. There are a couple of things in the get more serious about content creation goals that I thought would be fun to share with you. The first one is a big one, probably the biggest goal on my overall 2023 goals list. Again, I just don't have the time to share everything, but this is a big one, and it's posting 2 videos a week. Posting 2 videos a week is a monumental task. I have a full-time job. I love my job, but I have a full-time job. So editing the vlog that I post every week is a huge undertaking in itself. I don't know exactly how I'm going to post 2 videos a week. I don't know where I will find that time. You know, it's the famous saying, if you prioritize everything, then you prioritize nothing. So something has to fall off in order for me to be able to achieve the 2 videos a week goal. The thing about it is, the reason I want to post 2 videos a week, I love making vlogs. I love it so, so much. You guys love the vlogs. The viewership on the vlogs is super, super regular and consistent. But when it comes to my YouTube channel, the channel has not grown at all. Not even, it's stayed pretty much exactly the same as it was when I first started posting vlogs. And I think the reason for that is because when people come to my channel, a vlog is 45 minutes long. If they're not invested in me as a person, they're not gonna sit and watch a 45-minute video where I'm talking about my life if they don't really know what's in the vlog or what they're getting out of the vlog. So I'm hoping that by posting 2 videos a week, one that I can keep the vlog because I love making them, that will give me the space to create something that's more topical and something that will say more about what is happening on my YouTube channel. And what I mean by topical is something like this video right here, where it's like focusing on one specific topic. You know exactly what you're gonna get in the video. So it could be things like my top 5 sewing patterns for beginners, or a video all about my DIY wedding dress. Or I don't know if I really want to expand it beyond sewing, but if I did, it could be things like what I'm planting in my garden this spring, or my favorite winter soup recipes. Like I said, I'm not really sure if I want to expand it beyond sewing, but I think what's happening with YouTube and with algorithms in general, just the way that they work, YouTube doesn't know how to recommend my channel to people because they're not really sure what I'm talking about, because I talk about everything, is the honest truth. So I would love to post 2 videos a week. That would be the goal, because I love making vlogs. You guys love watching the vlogs, but I would love to have more focused content on my YouTube channel to help grow the channel. And then the second one that kind of goes in keeping with that, creating a content calendar, just so I kind of have a better idea of what I would post from week to week. I think that would be helpful in giving me a schedule, keeping me on track, helping me again. It's almost like the planning seasonal collections for my wardrobe. It's just a way that my brain works, where if I have a plan, I can execute to that plan, and it just makes it a more seamless experience for me. So those are my crafting and content creation goals. I would love to hear if you have any crafting goals in the comments, or non-crafting goals. Please share. I would love to hear from you. I have lots of stuff that's on the list again that I just didn't have time for in this video. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.